141. That's 800-583-0141.
Tax Relief Advocates. Real solutions for real people.
Stocks rebounding to new records on Friday.
Stocks rose to more records on Wall Street following a mixed report on the job market. The S&P 500 climbed 0.6% Friday. The Dow Jones Industrial Average added 237 points. That's about 0.5%. The Dow also set its own all-time high. The Nasdaq Composite rose 0.8%. Treasury yields were mixed in the bond market following the jobs update. The report could delay another cut to interest rates by the Federal Reserve, but doesn't rule it out.
That is Sutel reporting. 45 men and women, along with their supporters, took part organized by the Wounded Warrior Project Friday. Walt Piata, CEO of Wounded Warrior, says it's all about encouraging healing.
So a lot of people today, but the focus is really on the 45 warriors because this ride is for them. This is part of their therapy. It is a bike ride, but it's really not that. It's really the therapy about getting them connected, getting them outside. And
you'll find more of these stories at townhall.com. There's a record-breaking comic book sale.
A rare copy of the comic book that introduced the world to Superman has sold for millions. The comic book copy that was once stolen from the home of actor Nicolas Cage has been sold in a private deal for a record-breaking $15 million. That eclipses the previous record set last November when a copy of Superman #1 was sold at an auction for $9.12 million. The Action Comics #1 sale was negotiated by Manhattan-based Metropolis Collectibles Comic Connect. The comic sold for 10 cents when it came out in 1938 and marks the beginning of the superhero genre. I'm Hayat Panjwani.
General Motors will be hit with charges of about $6 billion in its fourth quarter after sales of electric vehicles sputtered in the U.S. That's when the government cut tax incentives to buy them. It also eased auto emissions standards. GM has been a leader in trying to make the switch from gas engines to electric. More on these stories at Town.
Join your co-hosts Mike Tooman and Paul Burvitt on our weekly radio hour, Chief Guard of the Republic, where we talk about all things national security, defense, personal security, safety, and dealing with law enforcement situations. Call in 847-931-1410. Ask us questions. We will get you answers every week, Saturday, noon to 1 on 1410 AM WRMN Elgin. Streaming on WRMN1410.com. Chat with us on WRMN's YouTube live channel.
Chicago defense attorney Mark Schieblo has co-authored the book titled DUI Jury Trial, which is a true story of a DUI case that he defended. The accused was an Illinois truck driver arrested for driving under the influence of alcohol. This book contains facts about the case from the date of the arrest up to the jury's verdict, and this nonfiction novel also includes the transcripts from the jury trial itself. The book DUI Jury Trial is now available on Amazon.com and BarnesandNoble.com.
Fix bayonets, comrades. This is Chief Guard of the Republic radio show with your co-hosts Mike Tooman, Paul Burvitt, every Saturday noon to 1. WRMN 1410 AM, the Fox River Valley Media Network here in Studio 14 on Douglas Avenue in Elgin. We're streaming live on the WRMN1410.com. The studio number here is 847-931-1410. Our text number is 505-926-1410. You'd hit us up in the YouTube live channel on WRMN 1410's YouTube channel. And if you miss one of our shows, I know Matt says that they're forever on 1410, but they're also commercial free on cgr.psylink.net. We'll give you the link to the Chief Guard of the Republic YouTube channel. Hey, Paul, let me see. Here's, see the guy shaking his head? Darth microphone is back in the house.
Nice.
So I was thinking, with what President Trump put out about Raytheon. Did you see that?
No.
Okay, so he put out a tweet on Raytheon and how they're not keeping up with what they should be keeping up. But first, I wanted to talk about something that, we had our wonderful astronaut there, the thing with you don't have to obey illegal orders, which is true. You don't have to. But they're not defining what an illegal order is. They're giving no examples. They're just like, when it came out, they want people to infer that any order given under this circumstances is illegal, which it isn't. So that's what really ticked me off about them, because they're playing word games with people's lives. You know, they're with wordsmithing people's lives away, and they don't care, because they're just going to shrug their shoulders and I guess, oh, I guess they didn't understand. How was I to know? You know. So now we have chiefs of police, governors, city mayors, prosecutors, attorney generals for states saying that, hey, if an ICE agent commits a crime, right? They go, if an ICE agent commits a crime, I'm going to have my people arrest him. And it's kind of a threat to the ICE agents that are out there saying that, hey, you know, you're going to be under constant watch and everything. And if the state feels you're not doing your job, they're going to arrest you, which there's problems to that, right? Because the ICE agents have immunity. They have federal immunity. And then you have the Federal Supremacy Act, right? That federal laws supersede state laws, right? But the thing here is, again, there's people out there that have no clue as to, they have no civics lessons. They have no clue as to the way the government works. They operate on their feels. And unfortunately, this is a significant part of the population. Right? Not 1%, not a little 1%er, not even 10%. I'd say about overall 40% of the population has no clue as to civics and how things work. But they listen to everything they're told by the boob tube. You know, by the boob tube. They're highly influenced by this because, one, a lot can't read and write. A lot can't think in the abstract. A lot have no critical thinking skills because they never learned them or they never applied them. You know, they go the easiest way. They go whatever's most popular, whatever's not to make waves, and kind of feel good. So what you have is the press, again, not all the press, because we're like the press, right? We put out a show here, you know, based on current events. You know, we're not going and doing any deep criminal investigations, or what do they call it?
Investigative journalism.
We're not really doing investigative journalism. What we're doing is explaining things that come out. So we're doing educational journalism, a little educational journalism here. And I am a certified U.S. Army instructor, so I can educate people. But you got the people that operate on the fields, and they see this on TV, and it's always, well, why would they say it on TV if it wasn't true? Wouldn't they get sued for slander and libel and everything else? So you know they have to check to see if it's true. But again, these people wordsmith, and they take stuff out of context. Yes, I did say that, but you missed a lot of words involved in that. You know, you missed the caveat in the beginning or the end. You know? So now what we have is some obviously mentally disturbed person. If she wasn't mentally disturbed, she was clinically stupid. All right. So what really, and it's unfortunate that there's a loss of life. It's always it's always unfortunate that there's a loss of life involved in anything, because life is precious. All right. But she's got 3 children at home. She's got
one that's 6 years old.
Yeah. 3 children at home. And she's going out and getting into situations. That tells me one thing. She cares more about herself and her feels than her children.
It tells me she's reckless.
Beyond reckless.
Well, she's reckless. And, you know, take it from another perspective, because I know there's some people out there, right or wrong. She also not only that, endangered, quote, her wife. She sped off without, quote, her wife, and she left her dog in the car. All of that.
Well, she didn't leave her dog in the car. She was in the car with the dog.
Yeah, but I mean, she committed these acts with the dog. So, you know, you got people out there saying she put the animal in danger. She put herself in danger. She left her kid an orphan because the father had passed away some years ago. And then she booked without her wife, with actually the encouragement of the wife. So, I mean, right there, that's four things that are against her, in addition to the fact that driving at an individual, whether she made right turn, left turn, no turn, puts them in danger on icy roads, which is actually an attempted assault at the very least, but she did hit him, so it's an attempted murder.
It's aggravated battery.
Well, no, it's attempted murder too, because
if
you
you
can
get
use
that
the
charged
vehicle as a weapon.
Yes.
So that all that, no matter what self-defense course you take, because I've done like thousands of them, that's justification for shooting someone.
Okay. Yes.
And so whatever you take it, you know, it's tragic, it's sad, but she died committing a felony, whether people believe it or not, or whether people care or not. So, you know, the fact that this woman's being esteemed, it goes to show you how political our nation has become, and how the left are willing to create martyrs who are simpletons. And we have to bear the brunt of this, and it's ridiculous.
Okay, so there's other things in here that had me concerned. And, but okay, let's start off with this, right? Because people were mentioning, and I saw a meme that was like, you know, get out of the way of the car, or, you know, fire a my favorite one was fire a warning shot or shoot him in the face, right? And the person,
she was shot in the face.
The person that put this up, I replied to it. I says, there is no such thing as a warning shot. Absolutely no such thing as a warning shot. You pull that trigger, that is deadly force. I don't care where you're pointing it. You're pointing it at the ground. You're pointing it in the air. Pulling the trigger on that gun is the use of deadly force. Whether you kill anyone or not is immaterial. You are now using deadly force. As a peace officer in Illinois, you can only use deadly force to protect your life or the life of another. It doesn't include property, zero property, right? It's against, or you can use deadly force against a forcible felon. You could shoot a fleeing forcible felon, you could shoot them in the back. In Illinois, you are covered under that. The city of Chicago, where I worked, frowned on shooting people who fleeing felons in the back, right? They did. They frowned on it, right? But that doesn't mean that you weren't justified in your actions. You were just violating city policy, right? So forcible felonies include murder, right? Obviously. Aggravated battery, right? Battery and aggravated battery, the difference is simple battery is not a felony. Aggravated battery is. Aggravated battery can involve using a weapon, right? Or against someone of a certain age, aggravating factors, or the amount of injury you commit. Well, using a weapon, a gun, right? Or let's say you hit someone in the head with a baseball bat, right? And you're running away. Well, you crushed their skull, you didn't use a gun, right? It's aggravated battery. Then you have robbery, right? Now, all right, if you shoot a person and you take their wallet and run away, what's the crime? What's the top crime? The highest index crime?
It depends on if they died or not, too. But that's armed robbery. That's robbery using a weapon. That's and the one you missed on the one with the car, because
I'm getting to that.
In the road, that's aggravated battery on a public way
with a firearm,
which is a very serious
with a vehicle. But the highest crime,
robbery too.
The highest crime in that, where I actually shoot someone and I take their wallet, they don't die, is aggravated battery. It's not robbery. The highest index crime is aggravated battery because the FBI has the index, right? Homicide, criminal sexual assault, aggravated battery, robbery, theft, motor vehicle theft, and arson. And now Illinois does not count motor vehicle theft anymore as a forcible felony. It used to be. It used to be a forcible felony. It's not anymore. You have to have vehicular hijacking. And what is vehicular hijacking? That's a form of robbery, right? That falls under robbery. So if you don't report vehicular hijacking as an index crime to the FBI, you report it as a robbery to the FBI. Now, burglary is strictly a crime against property. Because if someone's home, it now becomes a robbery, unless you don't wake them up. You know, they're asleep, you go in there.
Home invasion. It's a home invasion.
Well, that's a home invasion, right? But for index reporting, you don't report home invasion. You report it as a burglary, or you report it as a robbery. You get where I'm going, right, Paul? Oh, yeah. There's a difference between charging and the index reporting to the FBI. Right. And so they don't report crime statistics. They don't report crime statistics by the charging. They report it by the index, right? Our homicides up, our aggravated batteries, our auto thefts up or down, right? You get carjackings, those are robberies. So they're not including that in the auto theft. Yeah, so, which is an index crime, but, all right, so you got these forcible felonies, right, where you can use deadly force, right? So you got a woman driving, and they say, oh, that's just traffic. I'm sorry, we talked about this in earlier shows, right, where we're talking about, okay, and some incident happened, it was with ICE, but it was in the Chicago area. It was down at 38th and Kedzie, over there in Brighton Park, right? Where the lady was ramming the ICE vehicle and she got shot. Didn't she live, though? She lived. She got shot twice and she lived.
Yeah, and they dropped the charges against her, too.
Yeah, the state did.
Mm-hmm.
But she's still getting her butt deported by the feds, I believe. So that's that. We'll get to that. So when you have a 4,000-pound, but she was driving some SUV. I don't know, what is the weight on a Honda SUV?
It doesn't matter whether it's 2,000 or 4,000 pounds. I'd still rather not. I mean,
I'd rather not get hit with it.
A grain of a bullet is what, 150, 170 grains. You know how many grains a 2,000, 3,000 pound car is?
Yes, and what
a million grains. I would rather not be hit by a million grains. I don't care. I mean,
it's the force. It's like the force of the bullet, right?
Right.
It's hitting you at like a regular 38 is hitting you at like 350 foot-pounds, right? 350 foot-pounds. Whereas the bumper of that car is hitting you somewhere around 10,000.
Right.
If it's moving at any speed, all right? And it doesn't even have to move at any speed. Let's say it just bumps you, trips you, runs you over, and the bumper grabs your leg and starts dragging you under that tire and making the road smear out of you. All right? It's aggravated battery with a motor vehicle. All right? And that is a charge in Illinois. It's absolutely a charge in Illinois because I have gotten people charged with it. I have this one girl, they were in a, it was like a love triangle over the dumbest gangbanger wannabe you ever saw. He was like a Hollywood guy, and he was dumb. He was really dumb. and these two girls were fighting over him, and one of the girls comes up, and she hits the girl, but not only does she go over her, she backs up and hits her again, the typical thing. What do you do, back up? And then she goes, and she crushed this girl. She didn't kill the girl. She crushed her pelvis, right?
This woman was backing up.
I got attempted murder on her. After that went through 4 different detectives. All right?
As it should be.
All right. But it could have been aggravated battery too, but the state decided when it got indicted, right, they indicted for attempted murder and aggravated battery. And of course, when you do an indictment, they throw the whole sink in there, they throw everything in there. It's rock soup, and they're like, whatever, throw the crap at the wall and see what sticks. This was my theory. But so that's absolutely now. We know that because we're law enforcement. We're involved in law enforcement, all right? We've seen people hit with cars. We've seen the results of people getting hit with cars. We've seen people shot. We've seen the results of people getting shot. We've seen the results of people getting in a standoff with the police. We've seen all that, all right? We know that. Your average suburban Minneapolis woman, right? White woman, entitled white woman of an entitled class, right? Is out there. My question is, why exactly was she out there with all her entitlement? She's getting paid.
Well,
they're trained and they're being paid. Trace that money.
The story I heard was she left another state, and right after the 2024 election, and she went to live in Canada for a short time. And then she got associated with her new spouse, and then they got into the construction business and settled in Minnesota.
Okay.
And they were, there's an interview out there of a woman that gives a very good a statement who was part of the group. She didn't realize her statement was actually hurting their cause, from what I understand. But she indicated that this woman had spent all day and was in an effort to harass the agents, and she was doing her best, and she did a real good job of harassing the agents. She blocked them, and then that's when cars started getting stuck on the ice, and that's why she kind of got stuck. And then they approached her, and then the agent himself had been injured in a June incident where he was
dragged,
going after a criminal child molester who dragged him and put him in the hospital. So, people have to understand something. They look at it through the view of their mentality, but they don't look at it through the view of another person's mentality, because all that matters is them.
Yeah, no, the world revolves around them and their feels. That's the 40, right. At least 40%. At least 40% are feel people.
Right. And what happens is you could never know what happened to a person. You could never know what their experience was, because you don't know what they don't know, and you don't know what they know. So the fact that she's putting herself out there. Now, I was thinking about
something. She's putting herself out there for money. She was getting paid. Track that money.
Well, she's got a GoFundMe now, which is, from what I understand, up to $2 million, which I feel is ridiculous.
Because that's 40% of the feels people. But not only that, Paul. Let me go another route with this, all right? So, all right, I'm watching a TV show, and this woman, it was called Younger, and it was pretty good. I kind of enjoyed it, because I was watching it with Diane, But this one woman writes a book, right? And in one day it sells 50,000 copies. One day. Because she bought 50,000 copies. She was a billionaire. She bought 50,000 copies. She's on the bestseller list, everything else. No one actually bought it, but she primed the pump. She primed the pump there, and now she's selling because all of a sudden the magazines and these literary magazines go, oh, it sold 50,000 in one day. I wish I had that sort of interest, right? Bam, I had any money to prime that, to be on the top of Amazon's list, so they're pushing everything out. I guarantee you that some of that $2 million is payoff from these other groups, that money that's being laundered in or whatever, given to people to push this, to push a narrative. All right, you get me, Paul? That answers even my question more that this woman was being paid, because this is pushing the narrative. And that's money to shut up her wife. That wife that's still alive there. That's money to shut her up too. So you track, if you went in and always track the money, right? And you'll come back, you do your link matrix diagram, the crazy yarn on the wall with all the newspaper articles, pictures, and everything. You do that link matrix diagram, it's all coming back to one group. All right? It's all coming back to one person that has it in somehow in their interest to make problems in these cities and problems in the United States. It just ticks me off. And we're getting close to our break for the first half of the show, Chief Guard of the Republic. When we come back, I got a little more. I'll give you basic information on how not to get yourself killed by the police.
Want to read some action-packed, exciting pulp fiction? Read the works of Michael Tooman, now featuring the international crime thriller, I Married a Bot Madam. Available on Amazon in hardcover, paperback, and Kindle editions. The paperback is also available at other book retailers. Check out Michael Tooman's webpage at Scilink.net. That's Papa, Sierra, Yankee, Lima, India, November, Kilo, dot, November, Echo, Tango.
Are you dreaming of a getaway? Want to leave the stress of daily life behind? Whether it's a relaxing cruise or an adventurous land escape, planning the perfect vacation doesn't have to be a hassle. At Cruises International, they specialize in vacation destinations, land and sea, making your dreams come true. Located at 1721 Moon Lake Boulevard in Hoffman Estates, Cruises International isn't just about booking travel. They're your personal concierge, trusted travel advisor, and advocate. Your preferences are unique, and they'll take the time to understand exactly what you're looking for. From personalized service to their global network of specialists, they ensure that your vacation is tailor-made just for you. It's time to plan the vacation of a lifetime. Call 800-255-7447. That's 800-255-7447 today and speak to a cruise and vacation expert. Cruises International. It's time to set sail to your dream destination. Here on WRMN AM 1410, we like to keep you informed and in tune to what's happening here in the Fox River Valley and what's going on here on WRMN. We recognize the importance of local radio to be a part of the conversation and to be a part of the community for the community.
You know, we talked about the importance of community theater, but supporting community radio is a big deal too. And, you know, for WRMN, this is a really cool thing that you guys do every day. And a really important thing. You have to have a local media outlet to talk about what's going on in your town. So you guys do a nice job.
Tune in to AM 1410, WRMN. Don't forget, you can also subscribe to our YouTube channel at youtube.com/WRMN Radio. Keep in tune and informed on what's happening here in the Fox River Valley, right here on WRMN.
we asked parents who adopted teens to share their journey.
If you build a relationship, then it becomes easier. If you build trust, it becomes easier. As a parent, you want what's best for your child. To give them the love that a child needs. It's probably the best thing you can do for a teenager.
Learn about adopting a teen from foster care. Visit adoptuskids.org to learn more. A message brought to you by Adopt US Kids, the U.S. Department of Health and Human Services, and the Ad Council.
Are you prepared for an emergency or disaster? Because it's not a matter of if, but when. Don't find yourself saying,
I'll trust water bottles and a flashlight to save the day, but I'll be proved wrong.
With a tornado approaching, I'll realize that I lack a wheelchair-accessible shelter.
When the floodwaters rise, I'll be up in the attic with 20 cans of beans. It's a recipe for disaster.
Let's prepare so we all have a better story to tell. Get started at ready.gov/older adults. Brought to you by FEMA and the Ad Council.
Join your co-hosts Mike Tooman and Paul Burvitt on our weekly radio hour, Chief Guard of the Republic, where we talk about all things national security, defense, personal security, safety, and dealing with law enforcement situations. Call in 847-931-1410. Ask us questions. We will get you answers. Every week, Saturday, noon to 1 on 1410 AM WRMN Elgin. Streaming on WRMN1410.com. Chat with us on WRMN's YouTube live channel.
Fix Bayonets, comrades. This is Chief Guard of the Republic radio show with your co-hosts Mike Tooman and Paul Burvitt every Saturday noon until 2. And everyone can see how bald I am now. Look at that. Every Wednesday, noon until 2 on WRMN 1410 AM. The Fox River Valley Media Network, streaming on WRMN1410.com. Our studio number is 847-931-1410. Text is 505-926-1410. And you could pick us up on the 1410's, WRMN 1410's YouTube live channel. Paul, I can't find it in my bag of tricks. Do you have the disclaimer? Matt, our producer, would like us to do a disclaimer right now.
Sure, absolutely. The information on this show is for informational purposes only and should not be construed as legal advice on any subject matter. The views put forward on this show are the opinions of the host Michael Tooman, Paul Burvitt, and their guests, callers, and not necessarily those of WRMN 1410 AM.
Thank you. Hey, we got, okay, so I want to give a shout out first. Dunkin' Donuts veterans, 7039 on Dempster in Niles. Oh, you got that on quick dial, brother.
Of course I do.
Awesome. Awesome. Every Tuesday, 9 o'clock. Guys get there at 8 o'clock. It's open for all veterans or anyone that has anything to say to the veterans. But first, before you got to talk to Carlos or Roger, all right? I cannot approve you going up there and talking to anyone. I'm just a guy that sits in the back and gets all the good information, soaks it all up. Now we got Cleveland Dennis on the line.
Hi, Dennis.
Hi, Dennis. Did he wait for us?
Well, I'm not Dennis.
Oh, I'm sorry. I made a mistake. I thought it was Cleveland Dennis.
Who are we talking to?
Oh, my name's David. Yeah, I've called before.
All right, Dave. Yeah, I remember you, Dave. Yeah.
Yeah. Hey, what I heard you talking about the shooting up there in Minnesota, and have you seen the officer carries a camera, right?
Sure.
What do you call them? His body camera, right?
No,
yeah.
he didn't.
Have you seen
No.
Wait.
It wasn't a body camera. Only 20% of the ICE agents have body cameras on a pilot program. He was using his cell phone.
Oh, okay. Yeah, come to think of it, I think you're right, because he had it in his hand while he was shooting, right?
And you know what? Props to that guy and whoever taught him how to shoot. Because I've been a firearms instructor now for 30 years, and you got to be a pretty darn good shot to be able to achieve your goal. I mean, one-handed with a phone in your hand, that guy had experience. And probably because he got dragged at 30 miles an hour 6 months ago.
Yeah, he was defending himself.
That's probably why he was photographing it too.
I've got something to say about that, Paul.
So,
Dave, I'm going to have something about the phone, all right now. For law enforcement officers, here's the thing, right? And we were told this, and I believe it. It makes sense to me. Once you use that personal device, all right, not a city issued, not a state, not a federal issued, it's your personal device, your telephone, all right, to film that, you have now opened yourself up to having that phone taken for evidence and in discovery, and every single thing on that phone. Every single thing on that phone, jokes you share with your friends, memes that you've been looking at, everything that's on there is now open to discovery. So you are opening yourself up to a can of worms, right? So if you're going to use something as your own film studio, I would suggest having, what do they call the Go Cams, like a Go Cam, all right? Other than your phone, do not use your phone. If you're going to put something for your personal protection, use a GoCam.
Let me give you a little bit of a secret. It can be done anyway, whether you use your phone or not. It's a real big problem, even in civil lawsuits. And I know this personally because remember I don't want to mention her name, but remember your captain who I was doing training for and everything? That when I was involved in a personal injury case where I slipped and fell, they were trying to get my phone and everybody who was on my LinkedIn. And I told them one of these people was in military intelligence and I wasn't surrendering my phone. And the judge agreed with me. So it's in any case.
Okay.
Any case of what you're doing, slip and fall, personal injury, employment, they can get your phone. And the rationale is they want to read your emails or they want to see what exercises you were doing or what activities you were doing.
They're going to use the frame of mind thing. They're going to use, we want to establish his frame of mind.
So what I would say to people, don't do anything on your phone no matter what. And there's an old saying, don't do anything you wouldn't want your ma to find out about, because they'll find out about it. Okay, go ahead.
All right, Dave.
That's why I brought this up. It starts out, it's very short. I didn't realize, was he in the white truck that was to the right of her that was also sideways in the street? And he climbs out, and he's talking to the wife, and then he walks around the front of the car, and he sees her. She's in the driver's seat, and she says, her last words apparently are, "I'm not mad at you." And then he walks to the back.
Her last words are, "I'm not mad at you, dude." And then he walks to the back, and the wife is there, and then she tells him, "Yeah, you can get our license plate. We don't change our license plate like you guys do every morning. We'll have the same license plate tonight," which turns out to be not the case. And then he goes around, and then the wife follows him, and she starts taunting him, and she says, "Go ahead, big boy. Why don't you go get something to eat, big boy? Why don't you get something to eat, big boy?" And then the other officer approaches, tells the woman to get out. Then he swears at her and tells her to get out. And then the wife was entering the car, and then she goes, "Go, baby, go." And then the car accelerates, and the shooting happens.
Okay.
Right. And then his last words to her, "Fucking bitch."
We don't know that. So it could have been the guy who was holding on to the door. We don't know that.
Okay, so sir, you just cursed.
I'm not mad at you.
I'm sorry, sir. You just cursed on the phone, on the radio. I'm going to ask you, even if those terms are in context, all right? But sir, you're not even. Are you under duress, Dave, right now?
Oh, I had some coffee.
Okay, so you're not under duress, and you cursed over the radio, all right? Do you understand that? That you're not under duress at all, and you're using curse words, that you should have bleeped yourself or excuse yourself for that, right? This guy out on the street is under duress, All right? He's under duress. And if he uses a term like that, under duress, it's excitement. You get the
after he
adrenaline.
Kills her. After he kills her, he says it.
Well, you know what? I'd be pissed off if someone made me kill them. I would be very angry. I would be very angry at that person if they made me kill them.
The guy is a lying phony.
All right, Dave.
And you're apparently sticking up for a lying phony.
All right, Dave. You know what? That's enough.
Hey,
you
Dave,
cursed on the radio. I'm going to have to cut you off.
Hey, Dave,
Bye.
if you go up to a roadblock, do you run into the officers?
We cut off Dave.
Does Dave go? What rational person at a roadblock runs into the officers?
Okay, so we're going to get here. All right. So what we're going to say is, here's how you deal with the police situation. Because here's the truth. Either they're going to lock you up or they're not.
The truth as it is.
Wait, the truth. Either the police are going to lock you up or they're not going to lock you up. And there's really nothing you could do to change that. At this point in time, the police had decided to lock her up. They asked her to step out of the car. She was going to be locked up. I don't know what the reasons were. So here's what happens when I, a police officer, get pulled over by the police. This is what I do. All right? I pull over into a safe area, all right, as far off the road as I can, because I'm also concerned about my fellow human being, the police officer's life. I shut off my car. I put the keys on the dash, and I put both my hands on the steering wheel where he can see them. This, right, this brings him down in the adrenaline. Brings him down. He could see me there. He could see my keys. My car shut off. All right. Now we can reason together. Excuse me, officer. Why did you pull me over? Right? Why did I pull over? Or I knew what I did. I'm like, yeah, man, I was really moving. Sorry about that. I know what I did. Right? And either he's going to write me a ticket or he's not. It don't matter. Right? But I have brought the level down. I de-escalated before I escalate, right? I'm de-escalating by my own personal actions. You look for your safety, all right? Does he have a reason to shoot you if your hands are on the steering wheel and that car is off? And the keys are right there, where you could see them. No. You're not reaching for anything? Let's say he says, let me see your driver's license. Excuse me, officer, but that driver's license is in my back pocket. I'm going to have to reach for it. And I go with one hand and I reach for it, all right? And he's watching. I'm going slowly. I'm not going to come up. Oh, here it is. Like that. There it is. That's stupid. He doesn't know what you're pulling up until you pull it up. You pull up your wallet, everything. So you de-escalate. If he asks you to step out of the car, you don't know what radio call he has had. We're looking for a Jeep, right? We're looking for a Jeep with a white male in it, just robbed a bank, shot 4 people, right? Well, I'm a white male, and I'm driving a Jeep, but I don't know he got that call. So he tells me, step out of the car. I step out of the car. First thing he does is pat me down. Okay. I don't know what call he's got. He's not going to, he might find something. I might say, officer, I'm a retired police detective. I have an IROC, Illinois Retired Officer Concealed Carry, and I'm heavily armed. I've got a Roscoe on me, right? Got a heater on me. I'm going to tell him that as he's searching me. I'm going to let him know where that is, right? Because I like being alive. And I would feel terrible if he killed me and he ruined his life because he killed an innocent man. I'm not saying I'm totally innocent, but all right. So I'm looking out for his safety and mine. Everyone should look out for each other's safety.
Can I just make an interjection here right now? And this goes to show you. And again, this is my opinion, not the opinion of the radio station. And it's my opinion because I'm a licensed firearms instructor, both police and concealed carry, and also for security guards. When they wrote the law, you were to not tell the police officer anything because the idiots in Springfield, and they are idiots, decided that that would threaten the officer. So the way the law is now, and I'm not talking about for police that are retired or active, talking about for civilians, which is a large part of our audience. The way the law is now, and right or wrong, and it's stupid, you're to either not say a word to the officer and let him ask you, or when you're stopped, you hand him your driver's license with your concealed carry card, and that's considered the polite and not aggressive way to let him know you're armed. Okay, so there's nuances to this. So, you know, and that's the way the law is written. And I'm an instructor, and I'm a still valid instructor. So what you're saying is probably the correct way to do it, Mike. But under the law in Illinois, you're either to not say anything because that, quote, scares them, or you're to hand them your driver's license with your concealed carry card, and that's the proper way to inform him that you're armed. And then he'll say, are you armed? And you'll say, yes. And he'll say, where is it? You either say in the console, the glove compartment, or on my person, and where it is. So that's the way. You're right, Mike, and you're absolutely right that that would be the normal way to do it. But there's procedures set up in Illinois for this, which are literally stupid, but that's how you do it.
All right, so I would love to know how many of our state senators, how many of our state congressmen, and how many of our governors are retired law enforcement officers. I would say that's a very small percentage.
There used to be more years ago, and they mostly came from Chicago.
So this
but
is
I don't know how many there are now.
It's the dumbest thing on earth. No, you should not threaten an officer. I'm armed. Okay, like it gives you a right to any special privileges. It doesn't. It doesn't give you a right to any special privileges. In fact, you have more responsibilities being armed, concealed carry, being armed as a retired police officer than regular citizens. There should be equal protection under the law. There is not. There should be equal responsibility under the law. There is not. A judge is going to hold me more responsible in any shooting incident than any regular citizen would be. And he's going to hold a concealed carry person even more responsible than someone that was just picked up a gun to defend themselves, wasn't concealed carry or anything, just had an FOID and had a gun, all right, and was carrying it unauthorized in Illinois, all right? Paul, you are the expert on that, and the Attorney General, State's Attorney. So yes, and the firearm instructor, I believe that. Unfortunately, I'm going to have to take the ghetto position on this, and I'm only going to obey the laws that apply to me. So since I'm not going to put myself at risk with some officer searching me, I'm a big guy, and grabbing my gun, all right, that I have on me, all right, finding it without me telling him, and misunderstanding that, I'm going to make sure that he misunderstands nothing. I'm a retired Chicago police officer. I am armed. He's going to understand that. That's not a threat. That's a warning to him. All right? And I'm not asking for any special consideration. It's just, all right, so when you're dealing with the police like that, like you said, Paul, okay, so do you rapidly go for your concealed carry card and your driver's license? Or do you wait to be...
I have them in my wallet right behind each other, so that when he asks me for it, I'll hand him both.
But where do you keep your wallet? That's, it's not on the dash of your car, I
understand. And I would tell him my wallet's in my back pocket, and I would hand it to him.
Yeah, very slowly, right? Very deliberately. Here's my wallet. Here's my driver's license and this other thing here. You take that for what it's worth. But also, when they run your plate now, if your plate comes back to your name, all right, and your name has your driver's license on it when you registered your plate, they're going to run that, your name and your birthday. Guess what they're going to come up with?
Oh, it shows up on the driver's license, and I tell all the people in the class that too.
Yeah.
And you want to know something? That's the primary reason why I've had students that took the class that never got concealed carry.
Oh, okay. So they said, forget it.
Yep.
Yeah. Well,
and I've had that countless times. Out of the 6,000 or 7,000 people I've trained, I probably had 600 or 700 people that said they weren't going to go through with it just because of that, or because they were afraid that the wife would be driving their car or the kid would be driving the car to go to the store, and they didn't want that coming back on the kid or the wife. And in fact, I've also advised them that if they're going to have family members drive the car, at the very least, the family member should have an FOID card if they can get one, or they should get concealed carry too, if for nothing else, just in case that happens, because you could leave the gun in one of the only few places you could leave it in the car, the console or the glove compartment, and you might forget it, or the kid might take the car because it's the first one in the driveway, and here he's driving around with a live firearm in the car, and you don't want that issue happening.
It would take Jesus appearing for me on the road to Damascus to tell me to leave my gun in the car.
Yeah,
that's me. All right.
No, but that's the way they wrote the law.
Yeah, no, I wouldn't leave it in the ever. I'm not an FBI agent. All right.
Yeah.
You know how many cases we had where the FBI agent reported the federal car stolen? Well, what was in this car? Well, my duffel bag with my body armor and my sidearm. I go, well, why was that in the car? Why didn't you bring it in with you? I'm too lazy. It's heavy. I never put that body armor on. I hardly ever carried a pistol. In the office, I work in the office. I haven't been out of the office in a while, but I'm told I have to keep this stuff. No. A car is not a secure place to keep in my opinion, a car is not a secure place to keep a firearm.
You're right, but I'm going to tell you something. One of my jobs at the Attorney General's office was to be in charge of the WIC enforcement unit, and my partner was my buddy Marty, and I had to go for training with the state police, okay? And I don't know if it's their policy now or whatever. And, a lot of times the state police, particularly the undercover guys, are using confiscated cars, so they're not your typical police setup car, although they do have lights and siren and a radio. They all had a little, it's not actually little, they all had a little like a
snub nose or 380 or...
No, well, that's what they would wear, but they all had a duffel in the trunk, and it all had an Uzi and a shotgun. And believe me, when we were staying at the hotel, they weren't bringing the duffel and the shotgun in the room. So, they didn't. And so, I'm just telling you, you're right. You're absolutely right. But, things happen. And, the stupidity, again, I don't want to get into this about the way they wrote the law. Say you're driving with somebody and somebody, because this happened to me recently, had a medical emergency and I had to take the person to the hospital. You can't bring the gun in the hospital and you have to go in with it. You have to leave it in the car. I'm not going to kick them out and say, call an ambulance. So, so the way they've got it, you're going to have trouble. So there is going to be a point somewhere in time for 99% of the people where they're going to have to leave the gun in the car because that's the way the law is written.
So that, again, we're going to go back to the ghetto theory on this one, Paul. All right?
Yeah.
So I have an emergency. I have to drive a loved one. Or let's say I pick up some poor kid on the street, and I'm a mile away from the ambulance. I just take him to the ER, and I'm packing heat, right?
Yeah.
Am I going to go up and shoot up the ER, Paul? Am I going to shoot up anyone in there? Is anyone going to know that I'm packing heat? No. So I'll have to say that is a law. I'm not going to.
To that being said, okay, my local hospital, and I put this on ring.
They got metal detectors?
Yeah, and I said, I said, when did the hospital become like 26th Street? And, I got a lot of snide answers from some smart aleck doctor type people. But you know what? It's my understanding they don't check the doctors, but they check the people coming in. So
who kills more people? Who kills more people in the United States? Police officers or doctors?
I would say doctors.
You're right.
Yeah, but yeah. So again, it's always the law of unintended consequences. It's a good idea in theory, but not necessarily in practice.
When we come back, we'll have more on the Chief Guard of the Republic, and the opinions of Dave are certainly not the opinions of Mike and Paul. But I thank Dave for listening to the show. I appreciate the other side's input, but you got to tone it down a bit.
Yeah.
Want to read some action-packed, exciting pulp fiction? Read the works of Michael Tooman, now featuring the international crime thriller, I Married a Bot Madam. Available on Amazon in hardcover, paperback, and Kindle editions. The paperback is also available at other book retailers. Check out Michael Tooman's webpage at Scilink.net. That's Papa, Sierra, Yankee, Lima, India, November, Kilo, dot, November, Echo, Tango.
Join your co-hosts Mike Tooman and Paul Burvitt on our weekly radio hour, Chief Guard of the Republic, where we talk about all things national security, defense, personal security, safety, and dealing with law enforcement situations. Call in 847-931-1410. Ask us questions. We will get you answers. Every week, Saturday, noon to 1 on 1410 AM WRMN Elgin. Streaming on WRMN1410.com. Chat with us on WRMN's YouTube live channel.
Your hometown radio station since 1949. We are WRMN AM 1410, Elgin time, 1 o'clock.
I'm Bob Agnew in Washington. Rulers in Tehran are now threatening to execute protesters who call for the overthrow of the government, accusing them of committing a crime against God.
Demonstrations have included cries in support of the Shah, something that could bring a death sentence in the past, but now underlines the anger fueling the protests that began over Iran's ailing economy. U.S. Secretary of State Marco Rubio posted that the U.S. supports the brave people of Iran. Separately, the State Department posted a warning to Iran saying, quote, "Do not play games with President Trump. When he says he'll do something, he means it." I'm Lisa Dwyer.
President Trump has threatened to intervene in the event Iran harms peaceful demonstrators. Public policy expert Matthew Continetti has some advice.
I think the most important thing we could do right now is work to restore internet connectivity.
He says that would help people communicate with one another and with the world. The administration creating a new position within the Justice Department to investigate fraud.
Vice President Vance announced there will be a new Assistant Attorney General
who will have nationwide jurisdiction over the issue of fraud.
He said the initial focus will be on alleged fraud in Minnesota.
That is Greg Cluxton reporting. GOP strategist Aaron McGuire says it's too early to say who's going to win the midterms.
This country is so closely divided. It really is nominal how 50-50 this country is.
McGuire spoke with the Salem Radio Network. Economist Steve Moore has a roadmap for countries wanting to prosper in 2026.
Follow the Trump model. Free markets, free enterprise, low taxes, power to the people. I would say that the big movement around the world is citizens around the world are tired and fed up with arrogant, self-serving politicians who say they care about people, but they just care about themselves.
That's economist Steve Moore. More on these stories at townhall.com.
Wesley Financial Group is not a law firm.
I'm Chuck McDowell, founder of Wesley Financial Group. Did you buy a timeshare because they told you it was a great investment? That's a lie. Most timeshares can be bought online for $1. To find out what your timeshare is worth and to cancel it, call us today and we'll send you our timeshare exit kit free with all your options for cancellation.
Call Wesley for your free exit info guide. 800-893-2288. That's 800-893-2288.
Hey, I'm Mike Slater. My dad passed away at the age of 63. It's out of nowhere. Had a stroke. Super hard, obviously, for the whole family, but my dad had life insurance. This is why I have life insurance for my family, for my wife and 4 kids. And the best place to get life insurance is ethos.com because you can do it in 10 minutes. And there's no medical exam and no blood test, just a few health questions. Get life insurance in 10 minutes so your family is protected. Ethos, E-T-H-O-S, ethos.com/Mike.
One of the most ambitious U.S. electric vehicle makers is taking a big hit.
General Motors will be hit with charges of about $6 billion in its fourth quarter after sales of electric vehicles have sputtered when the U.S. cut tax incentives to buy them and also eased auto emission standards. The new charges follow an announcement in October that the Detroit automaker would take a $1.6 billion charge for the same reason.
And those credits were allowing consumers to get $7,500 off their taxes if they bought such a vehicle, but it is no more. Matthew Stafford beat out Drake May, while Myles Garrett and Puka Nacua were unanimous choices for the 2025 Associated Press NFL All-Pro team. Bijan Robinson is the first-team running back, and the multi-talented Christian McCaffrey of the San Francisco 49ers earned the all-purpose spot on the team. Breaking news at townhall.com. Syria's defense ministry announced a ceasefire yesterday after 3 days of clashes between government forces and Kurdish fighters in the northern city of Aleppo that displaced more than 140,000 people.
According to Syrian media, the army had made some arrests, as well as seized weapons, ammunition and explosives during their operation. The power struggle has led to 4 days of clashes in Aleppo. Tens of thousands of residents have fled the Sheikh Maqsoud and Ashrafia neighborhoods, which the Syrian army shelled on Wednesday after designating them as closed military areas. Further strikes have been reported in recent days.
That is BBC's Mimi Swabi. There was no public response from the Kurdish-led Syrian Democratic Forces to the ceasefire announcement. President Trump says American intervention in Venezuela will bring billions of dollars of investments in the country's infrastructure, a revival of its once thriving oil industry, and a new age of prosperity for the Latin American country.
Welcome to downtown Elgin, where businesses, community, and creativity come together. The Downtown Neighborhood Association provides valuable, complimentary services to all downtown businesses, organizations, property owners, and residents, helping you gain exposure and thrive. Whether you're already part of the district or exploring a new downtown location, DNA is here to help your vision grow. Join us in creating a vibrant, connected, and successful downtown Elgin. Call now 847-488-1456, or you can email info@downtownelgin.com. As for Jennifer Facala, Downtown Neighborhood Association, where the heart of business beats strong.
Fix Bayonets, comrades, we're back for the second half of the Chief Guard of the Republic radio show with your co-hosts Mike Tooman, Paul Burvid, and of course we got Darth Microphone over here, the battle bot from Star Wars, the black battle bot from Star Wars. He's a Darth Microphone, and you could hit us up here on the streaming on WRMN 1410.com's. They got the app there. You could stream live and hear our show. You can also see us live on the WRMN 1410 YouTube live channel. You could hit us up in the comments. I haven't been looking at. How you doing today, Paul? Yeah, there's Brendan there. Brendan's one of our listeners. Or you could hit us up with a text at 505-926-1410. Nope, no new text. 2:59 p.m. That must have been a while back.
Jose, Jose said to say hello. Downtown Jose.
How you doing, Jose? All right, so I over the short break there, I had a memory. You know, I was triggered a little bit. Paul, you remember Marty Clark?
I do.
And how was he killed in the line of duty?
He worked an extra weekend because he was getting married, and then he was struck with the car, and he was ejected, and I believe it was a brutal ejection, and his head was
so he was killed by a car.
Yep.
Police officer. Marty Clark, was he like violating anyone's civil rights? Was he arguing with anyone when that happened?
No, he was going to a call.
Yeah, there you go. All right, there you go, Dave.
Marla and I also have a friend who lives in another state, and he was injured severely going to a call in your old district, and the guy had to have severe surgery. He's got like 10 fused discs and stuff like that. I like to call him, and I don't mean to demean the person like our caller. I totally am against keyboard warriors and people that talk based on their opinion and without
on their feels, based on their feels.
Yeah, without having any practical thing with it.
Or what the mainstream media tells them, because why would they say it if it wasn't true?
Right.
Because they're simpletons.
Right. And it's just sad. And it's good to have two sides to an issue, but when you tell somebody that's a fact when it isn't a fact, I really object to that, because it's not true. And that's why we sometimes have to go back and look at history and look at the true thing that happened. But there's also a faction that goes back at history and uses modern day lenses on it and ascribes an issue to it that really wasn't the issue. So you have to be careful about that. And, that man, obviously, he was never near a car or in a car when something like that happened. And it could be very detrimental.
Maybe he was never hit by a car. I've only been hit by cars 3 times. It hurts.
Yeah, myself about 3 times too.
So but what right now, I think the main point that I'm trying to make, right? Mm-hmm. In my opinion, right? Again, I'm not omniscient. I'm not omniscient, and no one that is omniscient has told me anything otherwise. But in my opinion, it's a legitimate reaction to fire in defense of your life and others. All right, so you got a person. Okay, so I was working in the 9th District, and they came out, and this was after some police shootings. And we're trying to do, the watch commander's trying to do an impromptu use of force test on us, right? And I'm sorry, my watch, they weren't. And he says, okay, you're sitting at a stop sign, right? And you're working a summer night, the windows are rolled down, you got a partner with you, and the guy walks up to the car, puts a bullet in your partner's head, shoots him in the head, throws the gun on the seat, and runs away. What do you do? I says, I get out of the car, and I shoot him in the back. I shoot him down. I lay him out. And they're like, you can't do that. He doesn't have a gun anymore. I go, how do you know? He just committed a very vile, blatant act. And he has no problem walking up to a police car and shooting a police officer in the head. He has no problem killing a little kid, killing a nun, killing orphans, killing mothers, killing puppies, right? He has no problem with that. And let's say I don't chase him down and end him when I had the opportunity to, because I can't save my partner's life. He's dead, right? I have I have an opportunity to end this guy, to end the threat. He goes, turns the corner. There's a woman with 3 small children. Bam, 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 right? He pulls out another gun and kills them. What do you think the press is going to say about me now?
Why was she there?
Well, why was she there? She's just random. She's just coming. Well, why? No, Marla, absolutely correct. Marla's welcome here. Why was she there? There's where my point comes out. Why was she there? I would not leave my 3 children at home to go get a couple bucks at a protest. All right? I turned down special employment to make time and a half, all right, on the police department to make nearly $60 an hour because I would rather watch my kids. That's more important to me. Because spending time with my kids was more important. Their safety was more important. Why was she there? Because she was getting paid. Why was her wife there with her? Why wasn't her wife back with the kids? Because she was getting paid too. They were double dipping. Maybe the dog was even getting paid. Or maybe they didn't trust the dog with the kids. All right?
Again, to me, okay, and I brought this up, you don't run a roadblock. You don't run into police.
Here's how you do it. Here's how you do it. This is how you got to get in their mindset. When I was a detective, I could be a burglar. I could do armed robberies. I could do this stuff. I would think like them. How are they? What are they thinking? How would they do this? Here's the thing. They are protesters. They're trained protesters. They're indoctrinated. Then they hear things from the governor, from the mayor, how ICE is bad, and they think that, and the mainstream media, the momentum is going behind everyone protesting, behind illegal aliens. So they think they've got carte blanche. They got carte blanche.
Okay, but now I think the governor's bad. I think the mayor's bad. Can I go and run into him?
Okay, so let's get down to this. Let's get back to this. This is the thing.
Standard now? All right. So there's a double standard now.
Yes, there is. In the press, there's a double standard. In the press, there's a double standard. But guess what they're guilty of?
They're duplicitous, is what they are.
They're guilty of what they call seditious conspiracy.
Yeah,
but they're walking the edge. They're walking the edge.
You're right.
Seditious conspiracy. I looked it up. The 18th, Title 18, 24 something or other, right? All right. So here's the thing, right? They're walking the fine edge. Same thing with our the Democrats and the one person out there saying that you don't have to obey a legal order, all right? They're walking the very fine edge of that. That is true. But in what context did they say it? Now you have the mayor and the governor saying, well, we're going to protect the people. Well, why are you protecting them unless you're protecting them from something that's illegal? Well, no, they're illegal. You're protecting them from legalities, which is when you're protecting them from the federal government lawfully, by law. Again, you don't like the federal laws? You don't like the federal laws? You had 8 years of the president, the Senate, and the House. Why weren't those laws changed? All right? So you have the law there. It's the law of the land. It's been upheld by the Supreme Court multiple times. They're enforcing the legal law of the land, and the governor, the mayor, the chief of police are they're on the razor's edge of crossing that line into seditious conspiracy. Now
they've already crossed the line. They've already crossed the line.
No, they will shoulder shrug and go, that's not what I meant. Because they haven't actively told a police officer.
It doesn't matter. They've already crossed the line. I come from a different perspective. When you go to court and the judge is an absolute stonehead, dumb idiot, and he's making a mistake, and I can't go stamp my feet and say, Judge, no, Judge, no. I can't say no. Because you know what? If I keep saying no, I'm going to get myself locked up and thrown in jail, okay, for actual contempt in front of the court, okay? I could say, with all due respect, Judge, this is the issue. And if the judge doesn't get it, then my only course is to either file some kind of motion, get the judge removed, or, go take an appeal, okay? I don't just go out and make the law the way I think it is.
That's my point, too.
Because you know what? That's anarchy, okay? And any politician that's fulminating this, which to me seems the entire executive branch of in this case, the Minnesota government, okay, we've lost it. We've lost it because there are no critical thinkers left there. And, I noticed something else.
Listen, Paul, my opinion, right, is they know they are right on the razor's edge, right? They know if they do one, they're going to cross the edge, and they're playing this game. I'm going to walk up to the line and go, I'm going to be like a little kid. These are guys. These are children. Think of this mentality. They're sitting next to their sister in the car, and they put their finger right up to their nose and go, I'm not touching you. I'm not touching you. I'm not touching you. I'm not touching you. And that's exactly what these guys are doing. I'm not doing it yet. I'm not doing it yet. I'm not doing it yet. But the people here, right? The people here that, what the feds are doing is wrong. Therefore, they're wrong. And here's the thing. Where are all the microphones and the cameras? And the guy saying what the ICE is doing wrong, or the guy's face that said, no, what ICE is doing is absolutely correct? Who's got the cameras and the microphones in their face? Waltz, his AG, the mayor of Minneapolis.
Well, what's frightening to me, and I've commented on this several times, that guy could have been our sitting vice president. And like what we were talking about last week with these billions of dollars of fraud, okay? And to me, this takes the fraud issue off the table and makes him viable again.
Walt was saying, hold my beer, watch this. Right. We got to call it.
In the interim, he backed out of the governor's race. So he's grabbing at straws to be relevant.
Yep, because they're narcissistic sociopaths. We got it.
Hello?
Yeah, hey, who's calling?
Hello?
Hello, yes.
Hello?
Yeah, I'm calling. My name is Patrick. I was listening before the break when you guys were talking about the concealed carry and the FOID card and all that.
Yes, Patrick.
And my question is this: as an older, like 55-year-old person that hasn't been in any police trouble in over 27 years, how hard is it to get my FOID card back? I've never had one, but I have had a felony conviction when I was in my early 20s. Will I ever get a CCW?
No. No.
What if he gets that felony conviction expunged?
You can't expunge it. The only way he could do that would be if he gets a pardon by a governor, and then that would eliminate it. But then it would still cause some problems because they could still look at the underlying circumstances and determine it. Now there is some movement here federally, where the problem is you're federally barred. Okay, that one of the things on the form is on the 4473 form is if you've ever had a felony conviction or even a dishonorable discharge. So
which is considered a felony conviction.
Right. It doesn't matter what the state says. You're federally barred from owning or possessing a firearm. Now, there's some movement. There was, I believe, a case out of Texas recently that said that after a period, that can no longer act as a bar, but it's only one case, and I don't know if that case has gone up to the Supreme Court or not. Okay, so the problem is not only statewide, you're federally barred. And then if you're federally barred, then that's going to show up on your FBI, because they do a state check and an FBI check, and that's going to prevent you from doing that.
Yeah.
Okay, because I checked the internet, and the internet said after 20 years you can go jump some loops. So I contacted an attorney, and he told me $8,000 to get me back in front of a judge in the county that I was convicted in, and the judge has got to okay it, and then the state police are going to come and object. But they say if I was to hire an attorney, a minimum $8,000 to go to court and get it started, that there was a possibility that I could have a FOID card, not a CCW, but a FOID card.
All right. So
that possibility is actually slim or to be remote at the best.
I wouldn't spend the $8,000 on that.
Yeah.
All right.
Yeah. I think that's going to be $8,000 thrown away.
Okay. Yeah, I kind of figured. I haven't had one in 30 years, so why get it now? But it just crossed my mind with everything that's going on, and I own a house and a property, and I was thinking about self-defense.
Well, get a dog.
Yeah, then the dog, because dogs in the house, I'm against dogs in the house. They're not. I mean, I have nothing bad. I just don't have time, I guess. I mean,
all right.
You're right. That's the idea. I just don't have the time. But all right, yeah, that was my question. Thank you for your time in answering it.
Thank you so much for calling in and being a listener.
You're welcome.
Take care.
All right, so that was good. That was good. That brought me down. It brought me down a little bit. I was a little. I do not like it when what they're saying is. I know their intent, and their intent is to cause trouble. These guys are supposed to be educated. They're supposed to have civics education, and if they're not legally trained, all right, I don't say they have the bar legally trained. These are mayors, superintendents of police, chiefs of police, and governors. They should have a legal counsel that will tell them that you shouldn't be doing that. That's why I'm saying they do have legal counsels, right? And they put what they're going to say in front of them. And they say, no, you're good. You're on the razor's edge, which puts them the same thing. But what they're doing is I know that there's a mile swim going through the ocean, right? There's a mile swim going to go through the ocean. These people are doing an Ironman or something. 2 miles, what is it? 2 miles in a triathlon? Yeah. 2 miles swim in a triathlon, and they're going through the ocean. So I go out there with my little rowboat, and I know the path that they're going to take from one beach to another, right? And I chum the waters. I throw all sorts of blood in there and fish guts and everything else I could find. And then I row back in, and a couple people get shark attacked. And I'm like, how was I supposed to know? I did nothing illegal. Nothing. Didn't do anything illegal. It's perfectly biodegradable matter. I just needed to get rid of it. And it stunk, and I didn't want to put it in my garbage can. That's those politicians. They're chumming the waters intentionally to cause these actions. I didn't do anything illegal. You chummed the waters, and you should have known better. Should have, right? Here's the thing. Should have known better, or you're either complacent or you're incompetent. You should have known better, or you're totally incompetent, right? Either thing is not acceptable, right? So they're chumming the waters against ICE. This is the basic truth. These politicians are chumming the waters. The media is giving them the soapbox. The media is giving them all the attention. The people are hearing what the mainstream media puts out because they're with their feels and they don't want to admit they're wrong. And they never have to admit they're wrong if they always go with the popular media. It might not be real popular, but it's the popular media opinion. That's 40% of the people right there, all right? They always go, they will never admit this mistake because the media never admits the mistake. They see which wind is blowing. So these guys are out there They're full of themselves. They're narcissistic sociopaths, right? They're full of themselves. They've already went to cover their butts, right? With their legal thing. They chum the waters, and then they just sit there. You know what they're doing over the lady that died because she was... I wonder if she ever took an IQ test, all right? Because Waltz is going, how was I to know she was going to do that? The mayor's going, how was I to know she was going to do that? The chief of police is going, how was I to know?
Here's the deal. She's a poet laureate and an esteemed graduate of Old Dominion University. And she was considered to be one of their outstanding students in 2020 when, while she was pregnant, she finished her course of study. And then, she was married to a comedian and stand-up guy who tragically died several years later from that. And then
he tragically died from stand-up comedy?
No, he had a medical condition or something. But anyway, here's the point. Okay. Again, I don't go dancing on the edge of a cliff in a area where an earthquake had been. Okay. I don't stand on a rock that's precariously balanced, that's subject to tipping over. I don't go down to a train track and get closer and closer to the rail as the 410 to Nashville goes by. I don't see the point, and what was this? The guy that swore, Dan, whatever his name is,
Dave.
All right,
Dirty Dave.
I watched the mayor of Minneapolis.
We're going to break. We got a hard break, Paul. We'll talk about this when we get back.
All right.
Get ready for Around the House every Saturday night from 5 to 7 p.m. on WRMN AM 1410. If you're a homeowner or contractor looking to tackle those projects that feel a bit too big, this is the show for you. Join Eric along with his knowledgeable guests as they dive deep into everything from DIY renovations to creating a healthy home environment. We'll provide you with the tools and tips you need to complete your projects with confidence and ease. But it's not all work and no play. We believe in having fun. Our passion for home improvement shines through as we help you save time, money, and reduce the stress of DIY. So whether you're a seasoned pro or just starting out, don't miss Around the House. Tune in every Saturday night and let's tackle those home projects together.
As veterans, we're no strangers to helping others.
It's what we were taught, trained, and told to do.
It could be for anything. Helping a friend move.
Listening to a fellow veteran for hours, at any hour of the day.
Or just simply making time for people. A neighbor, a loved one, or even a stranger.
We're often the first to help others. There's no question about it.
But we do have one question for the veterans listening.
When was the last time you reached out for help?
Perhaps it's time to do for yourself what you would do for others.
If you or someone you know needs resources, whether it's for stress, finances, employment, or mental health, don't wait. Reach out.
Find more information at va.gov/reach. That's va.gov/reach.
Brought to you by the United States Department of Veterans Affairs and the Ad Council.
When I was in foster care, I never knew when I would have to move, so I always had my suitcase ready to go. Then one day, I was adopted. My new parents opened their hearts and home to me. My parents cook my favorite breakfast for me every morning. My parents take me on trips I never thought I would go on. They gave me a home and an even better reason to use that suitcase. My parents aren't perfect, but they're perfect for me.
When our nation calls, patriots answer. The U.S. Volunteers Joint Service Command stands ready, honoring our fallen heroes through military funeral honors and serving communities during natural disasters and emergencies. If you're 18 or older, you can serve close to home with free training and just one Saturday a month. Prior service with honorable discharges are welcome. View our website today at usvjsc.org. We are patriots. We are always ready. We are U.S. Volunteers, and we want you to join us.
Kick off your weekend with a little flair. It's Dino's Night Out, every Friday from 2 to 4 p.m. on WRMN 1410 AM. Dino brings you the best of the Fox Valley's entertainment scene. Live music, local artists, street festivals, great eats, and the personalities behind them. If it's happening, Dino's talking about it. And bringing the spotlight is none other than the legendary Arcada Theater, located at 105 East Main Street in St. Charles. Catch dinner, drinks, and a show, all under one historic roof. So whether you're making plans or just love to know what's hot, make it a date with Dino's Night Out, Fridays, 2 to 4 p.m. on WRMN 1410 AM, or stream it live at WRMN1410.com. Dino's Night Out, powered by the Arcada Theater, where Fox Valley comes to play.
Fixed Bayonets, comrades, we're back for the last quarter of the Chief Guard of the Republic radio show with your co-hosts Mike Tuman and Paul Burvid and Marla in the background. I love hearing Marla. And, of course, Paul's got Marla, and I've got Darth microphone. We have a caller.
Welcome, caller.
Yeah, hey, Paul. Hey, Mike. How you doing?
Larry.
Happy New Year.
Larry, you're going to be at the Legion tonight?
No, unfortunately, no. I'll be at the Wolves game.
Okay.
But, I'll be with you. Here's my question.
All right.
Yeah, that too.
So let's hear your question, Larry.
Okay, here's my question. Mike, you were a police officer for many years. Paul's a lawyer. You came across people who you knew you were going to have a confrontation with, who wanted a confrontation, who wanted to escalate a situation that was getting out of control, okay? What went through your mind when that person and you were going to have a confrontation, and then you know ahead of time that this is going to go to your higher-ups and go to people like Paul, okay? How did you handle that kind of a situation?
Well, I've had that. I've had a lot of complaints from the citizens because I was not afraid to confront complaining citizens when they were in the wrong and I had something that I needed to do, all right? And I did my job, and I took the beef, but I did my job. And it's aggravating because you know you're doing the right thing, all right? You're doing the right thing. Then people that weren't at the scene get involved because this person, they could lie, they could say whatever they want. The people taking the complaint, we used to call them OPS, Office of Professional Standards, but now they're called COPA. I don't even want to remember what that means, or IAD, and we're not even on there, but they write down everything these people say like it's gospel, like it's the absolute truth. And then they question you about it, and they always lean with the citizen, right? They always lean with the citizen, and it's all about punishment, Larry. You punish the citizen because he did something bad against the law, which is society says this guy's got to be corrected. So you go out, you get him in, you punish him. Then the citizen who needs to be punished punishes you by beefing on you and putting you through all the rigmarole with the city. Now, if every police officer, and I think that's happening a lot now, you were absolutely right, Larry, that's happening a lot where police officers are less apt to get in confrontations, to place people under arrest, because of that same thing, that they are, I'm not saying in fear of, but they have anxiety of retribution. And not retribution directly like the citizen gets out of jail. You know, you send the guy to prison, he gets out of jail and he comes looking for you. It's always a possibility. I'm talking about retribution from your bosses, from the city. Now I go up and I lock someone up, right? And I put them in jail, I go home, and then I take a day's suspension. I lose a day's pay. So by doing my job, I actually got a pay cut.
No, go ahead. There's some pancakes.
Hey, Larry?
Yes.
Larry? Yeah, this cuts both ways. So I just want to tell you something. So I had a case one time where a woman was running a daycare center, and it was in the, Afro-American community. And one of the people on the board was a person named Renault Robinson, and he's the one that brought the case to us. And I don't know if you know this, but Renault Robinson was like kind of a trailblazer. He was in charge of the Afro-American Patrolmen's League. Okay.
I remember that.
And there was some great animosity between the white coppers and the black coppers at the time in Chicago, but this was much later. So they bring this case to our office, and I prosecute a woman for stealing from Renault Robinson's boss's company. It was like a daycare center or something like that. And the husband came to court, and before court, he threatened Renault Robinson, So I brought this to the attention of the sheriff. And the sheriff, ejected the husband, okay? And I had to go back to my office, and I had to get a file. And I went down the stairs, and the husband was waiting for me, and he tried to throw me down the stairs at the courthouse, about 5 stories up. All right. And I fought the guy off, and I went back to my office, and I said, I want to call the police. And the office didn't want me to do it. Okay. And I said, well, he threatened a witness, but he also threatened my life. So I learned at that time that my life meant nothing to the administration of the state's attorney's office. And I went ahead and I called the 10th district, okay? And they picked up the husband, and we went to the police station, and, I wanted the guy charged. I wanted him charged with intimidating a witness and attempted murder. And my own office, felony review, decided, as Mike was alluding to with this car attack, that no, that didn't merit it. In other words, they didn't care. They didn't care the guy touched me. They didn't care he was going to throw me down the stairs. They didn't care anything. So, it falls on the elected officials.
Yes.
And again, if we don't have elected officials that follow the law, we have anarchy. I don't care if they're a Democrat. I don't care if they're a Republican. I don't care if they're a man on the moon.
We have people that think that the royalty. Larry, I'm going to hang up on you because you're on speakerphone and it's really causing feedback and everything.
Okay, no problem.
All right, thanks.
Take care, Larry.
All right. So I want to agree with you, Paul. I want to close this out, right?
Yeah.
The last few minutes discussing that, I'm going to have to align this. I wish I had this for King's Day, all right? But I'm going to line it with tinfoil when I have to come up with the conspiracy theories, because most of the conspiracy theories are probably come out a little bit true, just a little bit, but that's how you start a good rumor. It's a little bit true. But this one, I believe, is absolutely, if I was I'm a detective, and I'm investigating what actually happened to this case. So I'm a Law and Order TV detective, all right? So as you know, with Law and Order, if you watch the shows, it's all formulaic. So they don't get the guy convicted of one thing. So they go back and look for some minor, archaic charge or whatever that they could glue together and hopefully get him on this because they know he's guilty, but for whatever reason, they had a hung jury or whatever. So my question is, why were these two, and you say she's educated, right? You say she went to university.
You know, all I know is she's an esteemed graduate, poet laureate at Old Dominion University. I know that the president issued a statement that she was one of their best.
Old Dominion University, all right?
Yeah.
A poet laureate, all right? So educated, but not, you don't have to be a critical thinker. In my experience with a lot of education is that the professors are much like judges or little kings sometimes. Some of them can think critically, but they don't want you to. They want you to parrot back exactly what they told them. You told them. They are speaking gospel and the truth, all right? They are speaking the truth. And if you don't parrot back exactly what they say, right, you don't get a good grade. So how do you get the best grades? By being the best parrot in the birdcage. Everything that teacher tells you, you parrot back at them. You don't think about it. You memorize it verbatim, parrot it right back to them. You win. You answered everything. You parroted everything. You have no understanding. You have no critical thinking. All right? That is her skill set. I'm making these, okay, I'm making assumptions or inferences, right? That's her skill set. So she has authority figures on television and everywhere else. Now, she is going to parrot the most popular opinion. In the media, the most popular opinion is ICE is bad, all right? And to disrupt ICE is to be a patriot because you love America and you love freedom, and ICE is affecting freedom. Not her freedom, but when her freedom was affected, right? There was nothing in the popular opinion to tell her how to get out of that other than to get away, to try to hide. Like you said, we'll have the same plate tomorrow. Unlikely, right? Like they had fake plates or whatever. So they're going to drive and get away and remain semi-anonymous, right?
Well, what she was trying to say is the ICE people change their plates every day because that's what's being pushed in the media all over the country now, that they're switching plates. And actually,
they're switching cars.
No, they're switching plates. I actually heard a briefing on a university where an Illinois University police said the same thing. So this is what's being fomented out there by our officials, and it's the police too. But go ahead.
Okay, so right now, again, Paul, what would entice you? You said you wouldn't do it, but there's got to be something that would entice you to dance on the cliff's edge during an earthquake. What?
Nothing. Because
no, there's got to be something.
No, I don't want to be dead.
What if you needed? What if you had incurable cancer? And
you know,
I'm just. There's going to be something that entice you. I'm trying to make a point here, right? That, like I said before in another show, how much money would have to be in that suitcase or that satchel before I didn't inventory it, before I thought of not inventory it, just thought of it, right? Why were they out there? I'm going to tell you it's money.
Here, I'm taking this as more basic. Okay. I'm taking this as a woman who was extremely self-centered, okay? And all that mattered, again, as I mentioned earlier, was her life. It was just her. She only cared about her and maybe her children, child, wife.
She obviously didn't.
Well, that's what I mean. But it was only her that mattered. And you know what? She forgot about something. The other guy, the cop.
Yeah, no.
His
absolutely,
life
she forgot about it.
She remembered her life, and she zoned into her life, but she forgot that the cop's got a life.
So you're describing a narcissistic sociopath.
And you want to know something? The dude was, from what I understand, a decorated military veteran, too. She forgot. She forgot that he has a life. It's not in her head. It's his head. And when their heads collide, who's going to win?
See, Paul, I agree with you. All right, that's absolute self-centered, everything else. But I'm balancing. I'm like, when it comes to my children, right? When it comes to my children, I'm nothing. I want to think of my children as much first. And the only reason I'm denying my children everything is because I got to take care of them. Anything is because I got to take care of them in the future. So I got to be kind of fiscally responsible in some ways, right? And I cannot dig into I could think like a burglar. I could think like an armed robber. It's hard for me to dig into even though I did child abuse cases and I seen women that gave a rat's tootie about their children, right? Mm-hmm. It's hard for me to get that concept of I left my 3 kids at home to go play games for nothing other than they feel good about it. I guarantee you they're getting paid. And right now, $2 million, track that money. Track that money. Get a federal warrant, get a federal search warrant for that GoFundMe. Backtrack where some of that money's coming from and backtrack the people where they got the money to donate.
They don't have to. They could just go, and get a hold of GoFundMe and then just tell them where the money come from.
Okay, yeah, but the money comes from me, right? Let's say the money came from me. I donated $10,000 for the GoFundMe. And where'd I get that $10,000 to donate? Because I'm not going to donate any of my own money.
If people are making donations of over $10,000, there's got to be like a currency transaction.
Okay, so all right.
So we know where the money's coming from.
The money's coming from these organized groups like our foreign domestic terrorists. That's funny. Okay, let me correct myself. The domestic terrorist groups that are funded by foreigners. All right?
Right.
That are funded by foreign entities or funded by people that want to be foreign entities that have some sort of interest in destroying the United States, right? Or transforming it into what they think it should look like, their personal vision of a hellscape, right? That's where the money's coming from. Track it back to them, declare them a terrorist organization, and end them. End them. Take the people out. Do a nihilist. Take the top tier out. Take the head off the snake. Use this to indict them, seize all their assets, and put them in prison. Or let them have to flee to some non-extraditionary country and live in silence for fear of being renditioned like a Venezuelan dictator. That's what we need to do. Because, Paul, Hollywood types might be giving that money. Normal people aren't maybe $2, and then not 2 million people, not 1 million people giving $5
See, this is the problem I have with this, and like you were talking. I have a lot of people that I know that are into this, no King's Day or, he's not my guy or whatever. And they're real educated. And you know what I found out? And, I might be wrong. I might be wrong. But I found out listening to these people, and they've got master's degrees. I didn't know this. I wish somebody would have told me this, that the next person on Trump's list are women. I didn't know that American women were being deported or were going to be enslaved or something like that.
Here's this, right? They love feeling the victim.
Believe this,
They are the most privileged. Suburban, married, or whatever, family, white women living in the suburb are the most privileged people in the world. And if their personal guilt doesn't give them enough self-satisfaction, they need to feel personally attacked. They want, I wish I was a third world person getting deported because then I would feel better about myself because they're attacking me, but they're not attacking them. Right?
Right. I understand that.
They're throwing themselves into it. They're the most privileged people in the world. Yeah. Absolutely. Call me up. Prove me I'm wrong. Argue with me. white women, suburban white women in the United States are the most privileged people in the world. Bar none. I made that statement. I believe it's fact. Prove me wrong. But, all right, so I got to say something. I've been wearing my UCG Ultimate Combat Gauntlet. All right? We took time off for the holidays, but we're going to be back at Magoo's Bar in Bedford Park on January 23rd. That's a Friday. So it's going to be the opening show. And, you know, Matt's got it on speed dial there. Dawn of a new day. We got Lucia Ludacris wrestling there. You know, these are always great matches. Oh, I know that guy. Let's see. Mated Valentine and Danny G. Oh, these are gonna be some really good matches. And like I said, they got a good deal on buckets there. You know, and where else are you going to get up front on the ring tickets for $20? And if you're a first responder or military veteran, $10, give you a discount. And we have one girl, she's Illinois National Guard. She says she's really proud. Nice little Hispanic girl, you know, she's in E4. She's really proud of it. And I'm like, that's great. I go, what are you? And she goes, I'm a combat engineer. I go, 12 Bravo? She goes, yeah, that's combat arms, Paul. Did I put her down? I said, oh, you shouldn't be in combat arms because you're a female and everything. Oh, no, she wants to do it. She looked like she could tough her way through, you know? I'm like, all about it. All right, so, Paul, what's your opinion on suburban white women?
You know,
we got a caller.
My opinion is anybody who there's a sucker born every minute.
Yep.
Okay, and there's a lot of suckers out there, and they're being manipulated by politicians, and you need to think for yourself, because even the politicians that I like, I don't agree with. And you can't be everything for everybody, but when you're being like what they are now, you're not an American. I'm sorry.
They want to be Europeans.
You're not following the
Constitution
values of America.
Yeah.
You're not following the American values. We support the underdog. We support law and order. We support justice and truth. We don't skew it to make it good for our party. It's not every good man must go to the aid of their party. It's every good man must go to the aid of their country, not their party.
So do we still have the call, Mark? So got a couple minutes.
Hello.
Hello, how you doing?
Yeah, good. It's Cleveland Dennis.
Hey, Cleveland Dennis.
Happy to say it.
Hey, Dennis.
But, it's an intense discussion. There's a lot of, like Paul or Mike, you may have said, on the edge or the razor's edge and all this. But, when you talk about, you're on the subject of white women. Now, I don't want to be on that subject. However, as I've texted, some women, they get to be man-haters. I know that might be an explosive statement or subject.
No, that's kind of true. My girlfriend watches these, the O channel or something, the Oprah channel. I go, oh, you're watching the I Hate White Men show. I hate white men. Look at The View. Yeah. I hate the white man.
Yeah. Right. Okay. So you understand what I'm saying. I'm just making a statement.
Daytime television.
Yeah. And this young lady, and I don't really have a hardcore opinion, but, I think she was damaged, man.
No kidding, she was damaged. That is a state. Okay, when we set the caveats here and we set task, condition, and standards, your conditioned are damaged white woman. That's what you have.
I don't want to give you guys nightmares, okay? But you got to understand something, and it's something we used to say every day. That's 50% of your jury pool.
Yup.
Yeah.
Yup. I know that.
I get it.
And we're depending on them to do the right thing. And you know what? It might not happen.
Yeah.
Well,
so sometimes,
that's why they have the professional analysts or lawyers that pick from the jury pool. Right?
but sometimes, just sometimes, because you want someone with the feels in there, because there are situations where the logic doesn't make sense. But
you gotta pray for common sense.
You got common sense with a little bit of feels in there, but not that much feels, right? Not that much feels. That was overabundance of feels, right? That was like steroid levels of feels. Like you're injecting feels into you to have even more feels, to be the Incredible Hulk of feels. All right. We'll see you next week. I'm sure something's going to pop up again that's going to get my blood boiling, you know, get the hot blood up, you know. All right.